All right, this is an update on putting transformers back to back in order to create an isolation transformer. Or in this case, you want to make a power supply that puts out 24 volts AC, and then that 24 volts feeds backwards into another transformer, which then produces 120 volts, which then goes into a full wave bridge and makes your high voltage for the radio, for the plates. Okay, now these two transformers are the exact same manufacturer. They both came from the same vendor, but they're obviously made in two different countries. Okay, and I don't know if the nice tight square ones like this are the new ones, or this is the new one. So I'm betting that this sloppier, crappier looking one is the new brand. Okay, this looks like it's too well made. But anyway, these are Thoradar. That's the name. And then I found some ones that are triads. The triads are probably new old stock, and I use those in the command radio supply that goes on the back. Okay, and the loss between this triad transformer and this Radio Shack 12. You got the 24 to light the filaments, backwards 12 volt transformer AC to create the high voltage to the full wave bridge. This is a very efficient supply. Okay, when you measure it with the current meter, everything's fine. Now, as soon as you go up to larger transformers, they could be Radio Shack brand like these. You put two of these back to back, all right, you got 500 milliamps of loss, all right, which is a half amp. Okay, it does work, and I went looking through all the different magazines, and you do find that they did put two transformers back to back, but nobody ever mentioned there's a lot of loss. Okay, see, that's how the real world works. It works. Oh, it works. Well, how well does it work? Well, who cares? It works. I come along and I'm noticing, why is that transformer getting hotter than it should get? And then I put a current meter in and I'm like, why is this drawing more current than it should be drawing? A transformer is supposed to be 95% efficient. Well, then you go reading and you find out that certain transformers are wound in a certain way that if you go back to back with them, they'll be very inefficient and they won't work right. But nobody mentions that. You got to have it happen to you, and then you go looking, okay? And I worked with a lot of people that never wanted to look at the fact that they took a unit out of the box from a customer. It didn't work. They turned it on. After 10 minutes, it start working. They box it up and send it back to the customer. Oh, it started working. It's fine. I'm like, no, that's a heat problem. That's a unit when it warms up. No, they didn't care. It's working. I'm sending it out. And then, of course, when it comes back, enough of these come back, the boss takes that guy off the job, and he puts me on the job, and I get stuck with a whole bevy of units that have heat problems in them, because the guy never tracked any of them down. And if you stay on it long enough, you figure out what section it is. But that's how life goes. If you're the person that gets into something too deep, and that's my problem. Okay, I built the power supply for the command radios, and then I tried to use the same design over my BC348, and I was totally happy with it until one day I noticed the transformer was hotter than it should be, and I put a current meter in there, and then I realized that I couldn't do a boost. See, you can put a 24 volt transformer AC filament backwards to another 24 volt filament, and then get high voltage off it and filament voltage off it. And you can make yourself a transmitter. All kinds of neat things, but you can't do a boost. You can't take a 24 and put it into an 18 and make it boost up. It does work, but it gets the 24 gets red hot. And then I started measuring when you do it like they tell you to do it, and there's up to a 500 milliamp loss. And 500 milliamps is half an amp. Okay? But I always go a little deeper than everybody else. You know, all these guys, like I said, I get aggravated very quickly when I get into these different conferences, and I notice that the same type of arguments are in all conferences. Whether a person's talking about the tires on their car, you got guys that never changed a tire in their life telling someone else how easy it is. And I'm the type of guy that warns you. You know, the new jacks have a wide pad that goes on the ground. There's a little hook that goes up into the hole in the body of the car. And I tell them that stuff. And then like I tell you, I go for a walk and I'll see someone that they get the jack out and they're like, there's no way this hook goes under the car. So they flip the jack around and they got the hook down on the ground, and they're often, I said, you're going to ruin the car. I said, now you start explaining it to them and they're looking at you like you're freaking crazy. So now I don't even go over when someone's changing a tire. I just keep walking. Okay? I've learned this because I have a way of getting too deep into things. And I became the guy that everybody gave the thing to when someone else screwed it over. So every time I went to repair something and I opened it up, it wasn't a broken belt. It wasn't a blown fuse. It was always the person that went in there and didn't see the broken belt decided to spray WD-40 over everything. Okay? And I would open it up and there's the belt. $1.75. Long ride down to the other side of New Jersey to get the belt, come back. Now I got to go and open it up and I have to wipe down all the crap that they sprayed on it. You know, there's fixing the real problem and playing make-believe. And that's my whole life. I look back on it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Phone calls late at night from someone, my remote control's not working. Can you come over real quick? There's a program I want to watch. So I was in bed. So I go over there and basically I bring batteries with me. They never replaced the batteries. They never paid me. The remote control goes bad 10 o'clock at night. Just call John up. He'll come on out, put batteries in. Oh, it's just the batteries? Yeah, you probably knew it was the batteries, but sucker poor John into it. Several instances of that. Instances where old people would call me to the house and tell me the remote control unit doesn't work. Now, I got this stupid card. Let's see if I can dig it up real quick. Like I said, I can find everything in a matter of seconds. Okay, this card here, it's an RCA, it's an infrared indicator. When you shoot a remote control at that, now let me find a remote control real quick. I don't know if this is going to work on camera, but let's see if it works. If you shoot a remote control at it, yeah. I don't know if you can see it flashing. That should work. Okay, so in other words, I would go to the house with this, and I changed the batteries in the remote control, and it wouldn't work. And then I look at the remote control and realize it's not for the television set they got. And then they start arguing with me. I'm the asshole. I'm the idiot. I'm the fucking moron. I say, look, and I'd be very calm like this. Look, in this case, this is a sharp remote control. If it's in the frame. And I'd say, you got a sharp remote control. That's an RCA television. Well, I don't understand. And then they go looking, and they go in the kitchen drawer, and they come out with the real remote control. See, that's how old people get. And that's how crazy people are. And that's what I had around me. So I'd put new batteries in the RCA, and now the TV would be working. And they'd always grab it out of my hand. And then they would mumble something and wouldn't say thank you. Okay? And then I'd go home, and I'd be minus batteries. Okay? And this went on several times with this one family. The other lady next door, she never bought batteries. She just borrowed them from me forever. Okay? And I had all these people that would dial me all different times of the day. And then they would say to me something. Well, were you sleeping? Like they always had an insulting thing. And that's a trick you do to someone to control them. Well, anyway, that's my life. I can only explain it to you in that way. That I was the guy if you really wanted the thing fixed. Okay? And I told you so many times, I fixed something for them, and they would tell me when they told the story, it would be their son fixed it. And we won't go down that road. But I'm almost ready for a rant on bed, how difficult everything's getting. Like eBay. You know, you buy 2 transformers from the same vendor, same company, same box, and this one's chubbier. Same number, same part number. This one's black. This one's not painted. How do you figure that out? Okay? But this is what I'm getting. You can't find any of these parts anymore without paying a lot of money for them. Now, this transformer, you can pay as much as $226 for one of these if you put the key the part number in. And I'm like, what the hell is that all about? Well, I won't mention the name of the company, but it's one of those companies where other companies have accounts there. So they'll take one of their technicians needs a transformer. He goes in there, I need one of these, and they stick it to him. Okay, maybe he gets a discount off the $226. But this transformer, I figure it's a 24 volts, probably used on a furnace system, some type of heating system. Okay, but at some point they're not made as nice as they were made back here. This might be new old stock from years ago, and now this is the new one you're going to get. Same company, same box, same everything. But that's how the world's going. And as I design stuff, I buy a couple things, I put them together, and then I order some more, and they're different. And it throws the design off. So it makes me crazy that when I'm designing, I'm always leaving a little extra room. I keep making the design more and more difficult to make. You know, I got people tell me, oh, that's going to overheat. You better put holes in it. And go look on eBay on their BC348, the radios. And you'll see people just drill holes in them. Oh, radio's getting hot. Well, it's a tube radio. It's getting hot. See, they're used to transistor stuff. So they drill a bunch of series of holes in the radio. And some of they have to, the back of a the front of a BC348 has a little push jack that you put the antenna in. And on the aircraft, that's what they used. And the first thing people got when they got the BC348 is they drilled a giant hole on the front panel and put a PL259 in it, whatever the CB type connector in there. Well, anyway, that's what they do. And there's several of the radios up on eBay right now. They're from the same guy. And they've all been drilled. The front's been drilled, and he's put the PL259 jack in it. And he wants hundreds of dollars for it. And, you know, and a lot of them don't show you the pictures of the back of the case. They don't want you to see all the holes that they've drilled into it. But these radios are going for $300. They're not worth $300. Okay? I got two of them. I love the radio. Okay? But it's worth about $100 in reality. But they're getting more for it. And I know a lot of the people that buy the radios are never going to build the power supply. Okay? Because you can't get the transformers like you used to be able to get. And the transformer, brand new, if you can find one, is $79 without the shipping. Okay? And then you still have to wire all the filaments in parallel if you're going to use that transformer. That's why I tell you, use a 24-volt transformer to light the filaments. Use another transformer or two transformers back-to-back, whatever you come up with for your high-voltage plate supply. But I just wanted to do a follow-up on this back-to-back stuff. And it isn't an efficient design. But if you go through Popular Electronics, like I did, and put in back-to-back transformers and back-fed, I put all different search terms. And I found those articles that I had seen. And when I first saw that as a kid, I had played around with transformers. And it makes sense. You know, you can step up or step down on a transformer if it's that kind of transformer. If you take a filament transformer and do it back-to-back, step down, step up, whatever direction you want to go in, isolation, you're going to lose a lot of energy as heat because that transformer really wasn't designed. But if you got two cheap filament transformers in your junk box and you need to make an isolation transformer real quick, it'll be fine. And that's what they're telling you. But they don't go into, well, you're going to be losing a lot of energy, and over a period of time, the transformers might overheat. No. Here's the article. The guy that writes the article, he gets his money for it. The magazine sells the magazine. They sell the advertisement. That's where it's going, okay? And then when you find a problem like I did, you go looking, and then you find the guy that explains it to you. Well, transformer has to be designed to be a back-fed type transformer. And then there's companies that don't back-feed our transformers. Just don't. Because when you first turn it on, these are big transformers. When you first turn it on, it actually causes the plates in the transformer to move. And you move enough times, they scratch each other. You start getting eddy current, and you get losses and whatever. And there was some other thing they said happens to the transformer. But if you don't know what to look for, you never find the truth. And I tend to dig too deep. That's my problem. And I'm trying to take a break from all this. This stuff is not fun anymore. Okay? I can't just go down to Radio Shack and stand there and bullshit with the guy for a half hour, grab what I need, pay for it. Those days are gone. All the surplus places I used to be able to go to in Jersey, they're not there anymore. And they're not out here in Lancaster. Okay? Now, right now, we got an ice storm coming down. We got enough ice out there. If I go out, I'll fall on my ass. So I'm kind of stuck inside. I said, let me do this backfed video. A little bit of rant thrown in. But things have changed. Okay? And I see the people bidding on stuff on eBay. And I'm like, you're never going to get it working. I don't care who you are. You're not going to stay with it. It's a ball breaker. Okay? These old radios are not that hard to fix. Okay? And then I watch Shango, and people send Shango radios that they bodged, and then he goes through it, and I know exactly what the one radio would happen. The guy put the power supply on backwards, and the transistors burn out, and then it takes out the interstage transformer and the output transformer. I've seen those. I had those as 8-track players. People would put the plus and the minus backwards, and they'd fry it, and then they'd give it to me to fix. I get it all repaired. I change transformers, and then they didn't want to pay me for it. Well, I only paid $19 for the unit. I said, well, you agreed you wanted it repaired, and you said cost was no object. Well, I'm not going to pay more for it than what it costs. Cost is no object doesn't mean that. But I told you the one guy, he showed up in the dream the other night. The one guy, I kept fixing 8-track players for him, and he never paid me. So the last one I gave him, I put a magnet inside. And as the tape would play the first track, it would erase all 4 tracks. And what he was doing, he was getting 8 tracks from other people and telling me they were his. And then they would fix it. He charged them and get the money, and he wouldn't pay me. And I found this out, but it was so funny. One day he opened up to me. He goes, a friend of mine's got an 8-track player, and it plays the tape once, but then there's nothing on the tape. Do you got any idea what that problem would be? And I'm saying to myself, now I got it. Someone had warned me about, I had an uncle and a cousin that was doing that to me. They would give me stuff to fix for other people. And then they would charge the other person and then not give me the money. I caught on to it. My one uncle was a TV repair guy with my father, and he clued me into the one uncle. He says, oh, he'll tell you it's his, but it's not. He's bringing them home from work. You're fixing it. And then he's getting favors or money from somebody else. And I said, son of a bitch. But I won't go into it. I'm trying not to rant today. But it's my own fault, okay? Because I was very naive. I always wanted to make people happy. I always like to repair stuff. Even now, my neighbor will give me one of those laser lights things for Christmas. And the knob that you tighten up the thing to swivel on it, the threaded rod isn't long enough to engage the nut, to pull the nut down into a taper hole. And he gave me one. His other friend gave me one last year. And the one guy lost the nut, and I had to make a custom nut for the thing. And these units were like $40 or whatever, so they weren't cheap. And I got them all working for them. But I'm still sort of doing repairs. But I don't take money from anybody. I just do simple stuff for free. If it's a lot, I tell them, go buy another one. No, go buy another one. I don't have the parts for that. Radio Shack doesn't have the parts. Because there's people still out there orbiting the earth that when they say, can you look at it? That means fix it for free. And then you say, why I can't get the parts? Well, what is Radio? Yeah, Radio Shack has every part for everything ever made. That's how they think, okay? And I think that's it. All right, that's it.